Hello. In this video we are going to cover the exposure stats report. So we are going to select our reports tab. Now on our reports page we're going to scroll down, find our exposure stats report, and select the view button. So once this page loads, the first thing you kind of notice is our results over time. We have our grid below, and then if we scroll down all the way at the bottom we have comments. So we're just going to work our way from kind of top to bottom. So our first field that you're going to look at and see that's really going to affect your data is the date range. So you can make this using the date range filter. We have a lot of different options. Right now I have it selected for the last 3 months. But you're able to choose this month, last month, if you'd like a running 30 days, a running week, a lot of different options. If you'd like a custom range, you can also come in and pick your days. So once you find your month, go ahead and hit apply and then hit search. If you make a change, the data should update once your page loads. So I'm going to actually skip over our filter button for right now. I want to just look off of our default report. So the very first thing we see is our results over time. So this gives us a good map of how many days are in our time frame, and then how many observations, safes, at risk were then entered for those certain days. So if there is like a spike in the black, which is at risk, which many companies will see possibly, you are able to take a different look, and at the bottom here you can see how I hovered over the gray rectangle. We're able to really key in on certain days. So if I want to look at, get in here between July 20th, July 27th, we had 4 at risk on July 24th. So we can really key in, we can take a look at these. We can also see our safes as well. So it wasn't like we just had a rough day with at risk, we also had a good day with some safes that we found as well. So you're able to key in on certain days throughout your results over time there. If you are using barriers, those will show. If you want to, let's open this, move this, and then open it back up for us. If we want to just look at safes, we can remove our at risk. If we want to just look at risk, then it kind of looks a little more crazy. We also have a barrier in there, but this kind of breaks it down, so then you're able to see those certain days that may have higher at risk. So you can use this to really see, okay, what days in the week, what days out of the month are we really getting a lot of safes, a lot of at risk. So then you're able to better kind of track your observers there as well. So I'm going to keep scrolling. Now in the second grid is we have the stats. So our stats for our exposures. So we have our number that were observed for each exposure, how many sheets were entered, how many times those were marked within the sheets, and then we also have our percentage safe, how many safes were entered, our percentage at risk, and then our at risk entered as well. So this field here is filtered off of at risk, highest to lowest. So you're going to see the highest at risk exposure first, all the way down to the least at risk, so all the way down to the zeros. So if you do want to view just by your exposures, you can come over and click on the exposure name. So then this will break it down numerically if you do have your numbers in there. So from this sheet, if you'd like to export this grid, you can export it to Excel. If you want to view it in PDF, you can do that as well too. So now let's scroll down to the bottom of the page here, so our comments grid. So in here, this gives us any type of comments that were entered. So for the observer exposure, it was just the observer comment, so our general observer comment, any reviewer comments. If there was a reviewer exposure comment, then it gives us who the observer was. If there was a behavior type entered, you can view off of that. If there is a serious injury or fatality, a SIF selection made, you can view that. And then we also can see off of the location, so off of your org units. So and this shows every single comment, doesn't really filter by with the filters, it doesn't filter by, you know, safes at risk. So you're going to see every single comment listed, and then if you have multiples for an exposure, those will show as well. So in here we can group by exposure. So if we want to look at 1.1 lifting, bending, twisting, 1.1 line of fire, we're able to group it out, so then you're able to group and see every single comment rather than it just kind of being jumbled. So you can group by that. Any of these, drag and drop. If you'd like to look by just observer, you can do that as well. So if you want to see the observers, their comments that they've been getting, you can enter those and view those as well. A cool thing about this is if we want to look and see, okay, this comment's really sticking out to me, you're able to view. So if we select view, this is going to take us right to the observation that was entered, and then you're able to view that comment that was made. So this one was line of fire. You can see the at risk with those, and then any of the variable flag selections as well. So I'm going to back up to our report and kind of talk about filtering now for our exposure stats report. So now in this filter button in the upper right hand corner, I selected the blue filter, and here is where you can make all your custom filters to save for the report. So like this, for the company that we're in, has many checklists. An easy way just to look at certain ones is you can make a filter for each checklist. So if we want to just look at BBS ergonomics, we're able to do that. Make sure that when you're doing this, if you want to create and save a filter, you select it as save as new filter. So this is going to save that change for you. You're going to be able to add to your list here and make those changes. So here's our BBS ergonomics. If I want to go back to default, I can do that, select search, and it's just going to bring up my default exposure stats report. So here you can filter by your checklist, you can filter by your categories, exposures. Make sure when you're doing that, you're picking the right ones. You can pick a certain group. It doesn't necessarily have to be just one category, one exposure, but you can populate those lists out. You can pick multiple if there's a certain list that you're wanting to take a look at. We also have high-risk exposures, so if you are using the high-risk exposure feature, you can make sure that you're just looking at only those high risk. They will pop up with a little triangle, orange triangle next to the name of the exposure, so then you can be notified once you're just looking down that list. You want to make sure that those are visible to you and you can see them. A main feature and a main result that I would want to look at is just your at-risk or exposed exposures. So if you just want to look and see at what the at-risk are, you can just definitely hit at-risk. I'm just going to update the current filter to show you guys on the video here. So now this has taken away all the zeros. We're just looking at our at-risk. If we scroll down too, we're able to see at-risk comments. So it kind of takes into that filter as well and letting us see kind of what's been marked as those at risk. I'm going to open that back up. We'll exit that out. If you're wanting to look at a certain group, so if you don't have users to departments yet or users to areas, you can select a certain group of users. So say Aaron, Abby, and Adam are in our admin department. I can save this filter now as admin department stats, and then I can save this as a new filter, and that's going to just bring me their observations, so you're able to see certain groups, certain users, certain observers as well. If you're wanting to look at it by a specific reviewer, you can do that and pick and choose. Certain coach, kind of the same thing, you're just picking a group of users. If you do have multiple orgs and you want to just look at one, easy way, just select that org, hit save as new filter or update your current filter, and then save that out. Another great one, observation status. So if you're reviewing your observations, you want to look at only the reviewed observations, you can do that. See those stats for those that have been reviewed. Our task tags, it's a great feature that you can filter by to look and see, okay, driving forklift, what's our stats for driving a forklift, things like that. You just got to make sure that your employees and observers are using those task tags. We have some feedback options. So for that, you can look by the different types of feedback, your appreciative, coaching, neutral. Same thing for reviewer. So you can filter by any of those. So if there was any for coaching, neutral, appreciative, if you want to look at, you can filter by that as well. Again, roles, behavior type, you're able to, if you want to look at those difficults, non-enableds, you can definitely see the stats for those too. And then down at the bottom we have observation areas, departments, and shifts. So this is going to be where the observation was taken place at. So you're able to see any departments, any areas or shifts, the stats for those. So great for any department heads, shift leaders, shift managers. So you can save all these different filters by those features. One last thing too, just remember you can export to Excel. Same thing with the grid at the bottom, you're able to export that to Excel. If you would like to save the chart at the top of the page to send out for reporting, just select the button in the upper right hand corner that you'll notice right across from results over time. I'm hovering over it and it says chart context menu. So you can print this chart, you can download it as a PNG image, you can download as a PDF document, or you can download it into Excel. It's not going to save as a chart, it's going to give you the raw data of it, but you can definitely bring those in, download it as an image, and then upload it into an Excel sheet. If you guys have any questions over the video, any type of comments, just feel free to reach out to your account manager and we will be more than glad to help you guys out. Thank you.